Afternoon everybody, and welcome back to Birmingham Wildlife Conservation Park for the latest in our Wednesday Facebook Live videos. We're carrying on our world tour today and dropping in to see our African spurred tortoises. We've got two of these guys in here who I'll tell you a little bit more about in a moment. As ever, if you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to send them in, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. Here comes Victor. Otherwise, I will just tell you about these guys. So yes, like I say, we've got two African spurred tortoises in here at the wildlife park. We have our female Margaret, who's this one at the front here. Then we've got our male Victor at the back. Well, the back, he's come over now. So these guys aren't super old tortoises. They're around 15 to 20 years old. I can't remember what they are exactly. They are about 15 to 20. Hey mate, going for a close up. And these guys have been here for a good little while now. They live in this paddock here, alongside one of our Alp-dabbing tortoises. Here at the park. Hello everybody, hi Sue, hi Lorraine, hi Matt, hope you're all good. Good to see you all watching this week. So yeah, African spurred tortoises are the third largest species of tortoise in the world, and the largest of the mainland tortoise species. Yeah, the two larger ones, the Aldabran and the Galapagos, are obviously both island species, so these are the largest of the what we call mainland tortoises. They can grow, well, Victor's pretty much fully grown now. So they can grow, well, this large really, and weigh, the average weight for a male is around about 80 kilos. So yeah, they are quite big animals. Females are smaller, as you can see, as Margaret is going to come and line up nicely next to Victor. She is a smaller animal, and the females are smaller than the males. The males also get this more prominent kind of crest on the edge of their shell there, which the females don't quite have as much of. Going in different directions, we'll follow Victor. Because the reason these guys are called African spurred tortoises is because, if we go around the back, it's because of these spurs on the back legs. I don't know if you can see them there. Those kind of spiky projections on the back of the legs. So that's where they get their name spurred tortoise from. You go back inside. You came out to say hello when you go back in. Yes, you will. Hi Tim, hope you're okay this week. Go back in, mate. So yes, these guys are African spurred tortoises. They are found in the wild throughout the kind of southern edge of the Saharan desert in Africa. Pretty much across the whole continent. Following that kind of southern tip of the Sahara Desert. So yeah, they do have quite a large range. So I know I chose Chad as the location for our world tour to stop off at today, but they do take up a number of countries in that kind of northern area of Africa. So tortoises are notoriously slow, as you know, but they can get a bit of a turn of speed on if they want to. It's still not very quick. It's not really kind of anything like human walking pace. But yeah, I haven't got an exact figure for kind of miles per hour or anything like that. But when they want to, they can move a little bit quicker than you might think, which I think is the same with quite a lot of the notoriously slow animals. Sloths are the same as well. They can move faster when they want to. So no, Sue, these guys don't hibernate. Being an African species, they're obviously never kind of subject to cold temperatures, so they don't actually have a need to hibernate out in the wild. So these guys don't hibernate. Here at the park, obviously, it does get cold over the winter, so yeah, we keep them nice and toasty in their heated indoor quarters over the winter, and then yeah, in the spring, we'd start letting them back out again. So yeah, Margaret's here having a bit of a graze at the moment. Yeah, it's still slow enough to catch them, Tim. Although, like I say, they are quite heavy things, so when you do catch them, it does take a bit of effort to lift them up if you need to. So these guys, as Margaret is tucking into some grass there, they are mainly herbivorous, and they will eat a range of plants and hay and grasses and succulents and things like that. That's their kind of main focus of the diet. Here at the park, we feed them the same kind of things really: grasses, hays, weeds and things like dandelions and plantains, stuff like that, and they're quite keen of. We will also, in the winter months, give them a bit of salad and things like that, when kind of dandelions and weeds are less prevalent. But yeah, this time of year they get a lot of dandelions, a lot of plantain, a lot of clover, and they can come out and graze on the grass as they are doing now. I'm not sure the exact ages. This species of tortoise in captivity normally lives to around about 50 to 55, but it is thought they can live up to kind of 75 plus, but it's not exactly known kind of an oldest age for this species. Obviously some of the other tortoise species, the Galapagos, there have been individuals known to be, I think they're 200 years old or so. So yeah, these guys aren't quite as long lived as the really big tortoises, but they're not far off. So these guys are quite a common pet species, but they are actually now classed as endangered in the wild. They recently were upgraded from endangered from vulnerable to endangered. The main threats these guys face are competition with cattle grazers and farmers over in Africa. Cattle are being grazed in bigger and bigger areas, and that leaves less kind of habitat and food and resources for the tortoises. But then the illegal side of the pet trade is also an issue with individuals being taken from the wild. So there are actually more of these tortoises living in captivity than there are in the wild at the moment. There have been some kind of reintroduction programs which have been fairly successful, involving captive bred individuals who seem very able to just adapt to a wild lifestyle. So, there is a fair amount of promise for this species. They should be able to repopulate if given the chance out in the wild. But yeah, they are struggling in the wild a little bit despite that large range. Close up at Margaret there. Having a nosy. So Victor and Margaret have bred successfully in the past. We had some little ones off them. When the youngsters hatch, they are absolutely tiny. I think they're about the size of a 50-cent piece from memory. When they first hatch, they do soon grow up into big lumps, bless them. So all the little ones we had here have moved up to other collections now. No, it was nice to breed these guys. I can't remember when it was now, it was a good few years ago. Probably about 6 years ago, 7 years ago maybe. No, they are a lovely species of tortoise. Fairly chilled out. They just do their own thing, bless them. really tucking in at the moment. Alright guys, if you've got any last minute questions, feel free to send them in. Otherwise we will leave Margaret to her foraging. Victor has gone back to bed, back under the heater by the look of it. Yeah, they are the best lawnmowers in the world. Yeah, you definitely don't need a lawnmower or a strimmer if you've got one of these guys. Yeah, they keep the grass nice and level. They're not perfectly even, I'll say that much. You might get a bit of an uneven finish on your lawn if you had one of these guys, but they do quite a good job. Bless them. Now next week, I can't actually remember what next week's animal's going to be, so that'll be a nice little surprise for Tuesday when we advertise. We are moving more towards kind of tropical Central Africa now, moving out of the kind of quite arid north. So yeah, we'll be moving into that central region. So it might be something like the Potto in the nocturnal house next week. Thinking about it, but I'll double check, and we will advertise that next Tuesday as ever. So let's around this side. Just say goodbye. Yeah, I think we will leave it there. No, Tim. Perfectly easy for females to lay their eggs. The shell doesn't cover the appropriate area for where obviously these guys lay their eggs, go to the toilet, all that kind of stuff. So no, they're all good. They're well adapted for that kind of thing. Right guys, I think we will call it a day there. We'll leave Margaret to it. Thank you for tuning in as ever, and we will see you again next week. Cheers guys.